So I want to give an update on the dragon fruit now that we're here. So let me see here. First, that is not how that should be. Just have one cutting hanging off. I'll come back to that. So right away here, if you want your dragon fruit to focus on growing upward or focus on fruiting, you may want to take off all these little growths. So I'm just going to toss that. But anyway, so I have 4 dragon fruit pots and these trellises here all around this kind of square area. This was intended as a jacuzzi or spa spot, but there has not been one here for quite a while. Under this fake rock there's like a cord for it. Anyway, I digress. I have 4 big 30-gallon pots with these dragon fruit trellises. I learned how to build these from Kevin Espiritu's Epic Gardening videos and Grafting Dragon Fruits YouTube videos as well. So those are both good resources for not only learning about dragon fruit, but how to make these trellises. And you know, this is not the only version of a dragon fruit trellis. There are many different versions that I've seen, and you don't even need a trellis. You can let it climb up your tree or whatever you want to do. But the way these behave is they will climb and look for the sun and just kind of sprawl. And when you have a trellis like this, ideally they're gonna climb up and sprawl over the trellis, which is what is going on here. This trellis has the most vigorously grown set of dragon fruits. So on each trellis I have 4 different varieties, and the idea with that is, in theory, you're going to have different flowers with possibly different pollination requirements. There are different types of dragon fruit that are self-pollinating and different types that are not self-pollinating, and they may be self-infertile, which means they need to be pollinated by a different compatible dragon fruit. So that was the idea with putting different varieties in the same pot, is the flowers, assuming they're flowering around the same time, they would have the opportunity to be cross-pollinated and have a better fruit set. That's the whole theory and practice behind that. Some of these are getting kind of ridiculously huge. I did do a big prune job on these, and that's what all the cuttings were from at my workstation back there. I kept all the best cuttings, and I'll root those and make new dragon fruit plants. But so I recently moved these. These were in a different spot in the yard where they were not getting as much sun. So now that they've been moved to this concrete pad, they're getting much more sun, and I got to see my first dragon fruit buds and first flower recently, a few weeks ago. But when I went to look up the particulars on the variety that was flowering, it turned out that one was supposedly self-infertile, which means that it cannot be pollinated with its own pollen. And since I didn't have another dragon fruit blooming at the time, or I didn't have any pollen that I could pollinate it with, I suspected that it was not going to set that fruit. And the variety in question was this one here, the this is a Spanish word, guys. Sin Espinus was the variety. And it did abort the flower. It's right here. It fell off the plant. Very sad, but it is what it is. Hopefully we'll see more flowers this year. If not, then I am certain we'll see some next year because of how vigorous these things have been and how well they've done. But that is the state of the dragon fruit right now. I'm pretty happy with the progress. I have been asked, how long does it take for these to set fruit? And it can take a long time if you are starting from a cutting. It could be well over a year for your plant to develop enough to make fruit. And then it's also a question of, do you have a variety that is self-fertile and self-pollinating? And then, that could be another factor. But this is where the dragon fruit stand right now. I hope you thought that was interesting.